2.
Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to our weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Mark Elridge. But today we do not have the executive. We actually have the Chief Administrative Officer, Rich Madalino, who is going to host and lead us for this media briefing. Joining him today is also Mr. Sean O'Donnell, the Acting Deputy Chief of Public Health for the Department of Health and Human Services. And we have two special guests, Montgomery County Police Department Captain Michael Pratt, as well as Beth Tabashnik, who is the manager of the Crisis Center. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and good morning to you, Mr. Madalino.
Good morning, Lorna. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. As Lorna mentioned, the county executive is in Taipei, Taiwan right now, attending the 2024 Smart City Summit and Expo. He was invited to the conference as a co-sponsor, with the conference organizers paying most of the costs for him to attend. He is joined, as you can see, by Council Vice President Kate Stewart, as well as our Department of Environmental Protection Director, John Munger. He is attending the conference to share with a global stage the great work that we are doing in Montgomery County to combat climate change. This is a wonderful opportunity to learn more about the technology that is driving efforts to combat climate change, because obviously we can set the regulations, we can set building codes, but we need the public to buy in and fight climate change as well, and being on the cutting edge of understanding what's out there, what's being done globally, and what services, products that are available to us all to help combat climate change are quite important. And while he is there, he is also working with our special projects manager, Judy Costello, to identify business opportunities for Montgomery County businesses to participate in the Taiwanese economy, as well as attracting Taiwanese firms to Montgomery County. So dual purpose of attending the conference and recruiting businesses and opening business opportunities for Montgomery County. So he will be back next week for the media briefing. Before we jump into the topics today, I do want to take a moment to express our condolences to the family of former State Senator Larry Levitan. Larry served for a long time in the General Assembly, in the House of Delegates, and then in the Maryland State Senate for nearly 20 years, where he rose to be the chairman of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. Larry was dedicated to our state and to the people of Montgomery County. Many of the projects we have around the county have his fingerprints on them. Probably many people don't remember Larry because he's been in and out of office for nearly 30 years, but he was hugely influential for our jurisdiction and for our state. We miss Larry, and again, we send our condolences out to the Levitan family and our deep appreciation for the many contributions he made to the people of Montgomery County. I also want to take a moment to congratulate Senator Ariana Kelly, who represents District 16 in the state Senate, so kind of Greater Bethesda. Ariana has announced that she will be leaving the state Senate in May to take on the role of the executive director of the Maryland Commission for Women. So she has served the people of District 16 for more than a decade now. She will be missed in the General Assembly for her many contributions, but will be taking on this important new role for the Moore-Miller administration, and we look forward to work with Ariana. So obviously, once her seat becomes vacant, there will be the appointment process to go through. So look for those details coming in May. Finally, last week, as you know, we released the county executive's fiscal year 2025 recommended operating budget. During the announcement, we talked about how we would be budgeting for expected reimbursements from the Federal Emergency Management Administration. So we are happy to say that we did get this expected $33 million from FEMA. The check was in the mail, but we were doing the press conference. So We will be moving forward with the amendments that you see in the screen before you. This is a slide from the county executive's press conference last week. So we will be moving forward with all of these very important initiatives, including money for a variety of public safety enhancements. So thrilled to get that done. So far, we have requested $218 million worth of reimbursements from FEMA for all of our spending during COVID. This has been an extraordinary effort on the county, on the part of so many people in the county government, especially the staff within the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and of course, the Department of Health and Human Services. Of that $218 million worth of reimbursements that we put in, we have already received with this reimbursement $117 million from the federal government through FEMA, and we are waiting for a decision on the remaining $101 million. I think it would be hard to find another local government that has done as much work as we have done in seeking FEMA reimbursements. We were focused on this thanks to the hard work of the people in our Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. We were collecting receipts from day one, and as a result, we've been able to submit for a lot of reimbursements on top of some of the other assistance we received from the federal government through the variety of COVID relief dollars. So my great appreciation to everyone in county government who participated in this exercise. And it's given us the flexibility to do so many things, like all of those items that were listed on that screenshot before. And we will be very happy to pass that around to everybody if you are interested. Now, we're going to move on to recruitment in the police department. As many of you saw, there was a hearing earlier this week in the county council about staffing and staffing challenges within the Montgomery County Police Department. We have lost 194 officers over the last 5 years due to retirements primarily and resignations. That means we are down from the full complement of authorized positions we have by roughly 175 officers. Good news, bad news is this is not a problem that is unique to our jurisdiction. Police departments around the region, around the nation, are facing similar challenges, but we are working hard to address them. We are, at the county executive's direction, we are working on plans to allow the police department to hire retired officers for a variety of civilian positions that could augment the current complement of sworn officers. We're pushing for state changes to state regulations that would be less restrictive on past marijuana use for new hires. Right now, I believe state standards require someone to say that they have not used marijuana for the previous 3 years before they enter the police academy. Right now, as you can imagine, you're asking a 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old to on a lie detector test if they haven't used marijuana, even though it's legal in the state of Maryland. So Virginia does not have this standard. My understanding is you can use marijuana up to the day you walk into the police academy in Virginia. So we're trying to come up with a reasonable standard that reflects community values in 2024, which will hopefully not knock out a whole bunch of candidates before we even start the process. Excuse me. And finally, we have hired a consultant to help with recruiting to get us out there before audiences that maybe we haven't been before, to let people know why working for the Montgomery County Police Department is such an excellent opportunity. So to further that conversation for everyone, I am pleased to say that today we're joined by Captain Mike Pratt, who is head of our police department's recruitment efforts. So with that, I am happy to welcome Captain Pratt and ask him to talk a little bit about what we're doing within the police department.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Madalino. For those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Captain Michael Pratt. I am currently the director of our police personnel division. And as Mr. Madalino stated, recruiting is under my purview. So what I want to present to you, in addition to what he just spoke of, are just some internal and external recruiting initiatives that we continue to do. And quite frankly, right now, my goal is to simply hire as many applicants as possible. If you can make it through and navigate through our entire background and hiring process, then barring some act of God, you're going to get a final offer of employment from me. And so I want to start with our external, those initiatives that you are aware of what we do, what I call traditional recruiting efforts, where we are visiting colleges, military installations, community events. We're advertising on local radio and television stations. We have our own social media accounts, websites, poster campaigns. Those are traditional recruiting efforts that we are continuing to do, and we will continue to do, where we have had success, where you see us out in the community all the time. So those are continuing. I know that earlier, no better time than in the month of March to talk about women and our female police officers and applicants. Earlier this week, our county celebrated a lot of our female employees, and in particular, our female police officers. One of the new initiatives that we signed on to is our 30 by 30 initiative. We were one of the first cohorts that signed on to this initiative, where our ultimate goal is to increase the representation of women in our police recruit classes in our academy to 30% by 2030. And in looking at our past numbers, Session 77, which was our police recruit class that graduated in December, we were at 26%. Session 77 is current. We're at 26% female, and we're also at 74% diversity in that class. So that is really phenomenal. Our previous class, Session 76, was graduated in December. We were 21% female and 59% diverse. So already we see what hopefully will be an uptrend and an uptick towards our ultimate goal of 30% and more in our recruitment staffs. As Mr. Madaleno just mentioned, one of the large initiatives that, with the support and help of the county executive, Mr. Madaleno, tremendous amount of people in our Office of Management and Budget and our department, we are in the process of onboarding an outside law enforcement specific recruiting agency that will assist us with marketing, branding, advertising, to assist with police officer candidates and our ECC applicants. And the agency essentially just generates qualified applicants by creative initiatives, videos, photography, online campaigns. But one of the cool things that they do is they also bring analytics to the table. So I can say, if I sent 2 officers to Penn State University for this recruiting class or this period or this time, we can geofence and we could use analytics to say, during that 48-hour time period there and after, let's see who logged into our website. Let's see who clicked the apply button now. And we can really kind of find that return on investment that right now we have to wait an extensive amount of time. So that's a really cool aspect that this online recruiting agency brings to the table. Moving on, keeping with our external, as you all have seen and see we advertise, we have what we call our recruiting meet and greets, where our department, we continue to host on a monthly basis, monthly meet and greets at our Public Safety Training Academy. And that is a time for our applicants to physically be on site with us, our recruiters with our academy staff. We kind of treat it like, if any of you have been on a collegiate visit or athletics or even in the private sector, where it's a hands-on experience. You come in, you tour our state-of-the-art training academy facility. We do PowerPoint presentations. It's question and answer. Whatever our applicants need, that is really a great way that we invite them into our community as police officers, and we really have a chance to sell our department. And then finally, one of the larger initiatives that we have externally on behalf of the council and county executive is the continuation of our $20,000 hiring bonus. We have seen some very positive results with that. We're able to survey our applicants as they come on board. And so we continue to be excited that that is offered, because as everybody sees, some type of hiring bonus is kind of the expectation when we're talking about police applicants nowadays. So it's great that we continue to be able to offer that. I want to quickly move on to some of the internal initiatives that maybe all of you aren't familiar with. Our full-time recruitment section is 4 sworn police officers. We have a sergeant and then 3 police officer 3s. who that is their sole job on a daily basis, to do recruiting. We also have more than 160 decentralized sworn recruiters, where we train officers that are all throughout our police department. And then they supplement our sworn recruiters. They go out to the communities, they go out to their alma maters where they have connections, and they do recruiting for us. We also have our Police Explorer and Police Cadet program. We have a very strong police applicant mentoring program where once our applicants get to a certain part in the hiring process, we assign a recruiter to them, a decentralized recruiter to them that mentors them, that's there to answer phone calls, answer questions, take our applicants on ride along so that while they're in the process, they really start to get that hands-on experience with our department. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up our pre-hire program. It's the first of its kind in the state of Maryland, where our police department provides physical fitness and mental health, weight wellness classes to all of our applicants via our academy staff who are certified in that. And that's in person and on Zoom. So that is one of the initiatives that we started. To my knowledge, it's the first in the state of Maryland. We are seeing tremendous amount of success with that. And then finally, we have our early hire program. Our next academy class doesn't start until September. If you are hired, I can say, congratulations, we want you here. I could hire you effective April 15th or whenever, and you are our employee. You're collecting a salary and benefits. We know that you're going to the academy in September, but I could assign you to different portions of our department to really begin your career early. That way, if you are interested in somewhere else, guess what? You're here now. We love you. We want you to stay. So that's something that we offer. And I think you all are kind of getting the picture that I'm painting, that we as a department and as a county, we just always are continuing to try to find ways, new and innovative ways to recruit and hire for our police department. And I really just want to bring up, as you all know, we also are hiring our 911 dispatchers and call takers. We have several new initiatives, including our $5,000 hiring bonus that was collectively bargained and afforded by our council and our county executive. And then also we have a pension program as well, which again, we never had before. So our ECC employees do just an absolute phenomenal job. And if you really stop to think about it, those employees are the first people that when we dial 911, that's the first voice we hear. And so that's a tremendous opportunity for anybody that's seeking a career in that to join and to apply. And finally, joinmcp.com. That is our all-inclusive website. Again, joinmcp.com for anybody out there that's interested in becoming a police officer, call taker, dispatcher, or even just an employee in general.
So Captain Pratt, did you go over the cadet program?
I did. I just really briefly mentioned the cadet program. So for those of you that don't know, our cadet program, the current iteration is from 2016. What it is it's essentially where if you are a full-time employee, a full-time student matriculating at a college, there are minimum requirements. You have to have a certain GPA. But what we do is we hire you as our cadet. You're afforded to work up to 20 hours a week as our employee while you are matriculating at school, and you really get a hands-on experience for our police department. You're sort of enveloped into what we do while you're at school. We have the county council expanded our eligibility for cadets. We have 25 positions now. Currently 18 are filled, but that is really a good chance. I'm almost certain since 2016, we've hired more than 75 of our police cadets that are part of this program while they're obtaining their college credits, that then go on to be full-time police officers with us, or we hire as police officer candidates. So we have had a tremendous amount of success with that, and we look forward to continuing that process in the future.
All right. I do want to reiterate the point you made about for 911 operators, that we have launched a pension program for 911 operators. So just like police officers, firefighters across the board, and public safety, we provide access to our employees a pension, a defined benefit plan, which means you will get, a monthly check in retirement for as long as you live. So this is quite a great benefit, one that is more rare for people outside of a sworn officer capacity. So a great opportunity for people who are looking for that long-term security that comes with a pension, because as Captain Pratt said, our 911 operators are the first line of response when it comes to someone calling. They are part of the public safety family within the county, and we're glad that we were able to work with our labor partners to roll out this incredible new benefit for anyone who's interested in becoming a 911 operator. In addition to that, the county, the leadership of the county executive, the county council, Chief Marcus Jones, we've been at the forefront of rolling out new technology. So to keep our officers safe, to make sure we are quick to respond and to solve incidents. And quite frankly, for young people who are looking to not only go into law enforcement, but to have cutting edge tools, that is the Montgomery County Police Department. We are the largest police department in the country, operating a drone as first responder program. The budget includes an expansion from our current sites in Silver Spring and Wheaton to include one for Bethesda and one for the Gaithersburg, Germantown, Montgomery Village area. We are using live 911 with that, so that 911 calls are dispatched directly to the drone operators so they can hear what's going on. We just won several federal awards for new equipment, ballistic testing, a mass spectrometer for reviewing evidence, a federal grant, almost $1 million to update our crime information system. We are running a centralized camera review center for predictive responses at the public safety headquarters. We were thrilled to show Governor Moore recently on a visit to the county, the drone center and our crime information center. We have grants available for businesses and residents within certain parts of the county to have security cameras put up. So we are trying every different tool that we can to make sure today our residents, our businesses, our visitors are as safe as possible, and to augment the work of our police officers and the other employees of the police department with the best equipment that we can provide so that we are able to quickly address incidents and quickly solve crimes. So I am thrilled that we are able to do that. So now we're going to go to any questions that people might have for Captain Pratt before we move on to mobile crisis outreach teams.
This is your time, members of the media. Raise your hands and we'll call on you. Okay, Courtney Khan from Local 360. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. I was just wondering if you could tell me the name of the consulting or recruiting agency that the police department has hired.
Absolutely. The name it's called Epic Recruiting. Forgive me, I know it has a formal LLC name, but it's Epic Recruiting. You could just do a normal web-based search for that and it will pop up. And it's that one specific law enforcement recruitment agency. You'll see it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Members of the media, any other questions for Captain Pratt?
All right, Mike, keep up the good work. I hope we haven't lost any candidates while you've been on the call for the last few minutes, but I'm sure hopefully this message will help get more people in the door, because the Montgomery County Police Department is a great place to work. And if you're looking for a premier law enforcement agency, you're not going to find one much better than the Montgomery County Police Department. And with that, I see another hand has popped up.
Oh, yes, Judith Hurst. She's with the Greater Olney News. Good morning, Judith, to you.
Good morning. So with everyone having the same challenges as Montgomery County in terms of recruiting, and I'm sure they're doing creative things as well, what can give Montgomery County the edge in recruiting?
I really think the edge comes with what our total package is a police department looks like. A lot of our applicants, they are only looking at one thing. They might be looking at salary or a hiring bonus, but that's why our meet and greets and our recruiting efforts are so integral into what we do. Because when you look at the overall effectiveness as us as a police department, you see what we have to offer, from more than 50 specialized units, all of the benefits that our council and our labor partners have benefited from through the collective bargaining agreements. Those are really second to none. And it's that home life, work life balance where it's phenomenal to be able to say, hey, I know my schedule for the next year and a half if I'm working patrol, or the next 2 years. I know that I am entitled to at least half of the weekends off in a calendar year. I always like to say the quick thing. I had a very good friend that they went out and celebrated because for the first time, he is a police officer, had a weekend off in 7 years. So for the first 7 years that they worked for a different agency, he wasn't afforded a weekend off unless he took leave. So those are the really small things that when applicants come to our meet and greets and they speak to us, that's really what we show. Our training, all of our initiatives, everything, it really sticks out, but it's simply just getting the word out. And that's why we're excited about Epic, the onboarding of them. And finally, I just want to bring up, we actually are having a meet and greet this coming Sunday, March 24th at the Public Safety Training Academy on Snoffer School, and that begins at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Judy. Members of the media, any more questions? Last questions for the captain?
All right.
Not.
We want to highlight another part of the public safety efforts that we're doing in Montgomery County. We have mobile crisis outreach teams that are already in place and active to help assist first responders, whether it's the police department, the fire department, because we know that there are a variety of reasons why someone picks up 911 to make a call for themselves or someone else who is in distress. Currently, we have 3 mobile crisis outreach teams that are operating within Montgomery County. Grant funding that we have received will allow us to expand that to 5 teams as soon as we can get the personnel in place. And then the FY25 recommended budget from the county executive does include funding for an additional 2 teams, bringing us up to 7 mobile crisis outreach teams to be available in our community. Why are these important? Why do we have it? Why do we want to expand it? Because mobile outreach teams are an effort to reduce harm to the public. It shows and demonstrates our community-based crisis response. It helps develop community trust because sometimes a uniformed respondent isn't necessarily what someone in crisis is looking for. And it preserves public safety resources to address the highest level threats and dangers to the public. So I am very happy to have Beth Topachnik on the call, who is the manager of our Montgomery County Crisis Center, to talk about the implementation of the mobile crisis outreach teams. For those of you on the call, you might hear us use the acronym MCOT. That's what we're talking about, mobile crisis outreach teams. So Beth is going to go over what we're doing, what we're proposing, and the great work that she is doing with her colleagues in the Department of Health and Human Services, who are truly also part of our whole first responder team. Beth?
Thank you, Mr. Madalino, and good morning. I don't know that I can say it better than you just did, but I will certainly try to provide a little bit of context in terms of how important this support is both for our program and more importantly for our community. So again, my name is Beth Topachnik. I'm the manager of the Crisis Center. I oversee day-to-day operations here, which includes our walk-in services, our crisis phone lines, our residential crisis services, and as we're discussing today, our mobile crisis outreach teams. And just to provide a little bit of context again in terms of how important this additional funding is, when the Crisis Center first took over mobile crisis operations in Montgomery County, we had one team, but we had one team that only operated 8 hours. This was in the late 80s. We ran in the evenings. It was a very, obviously a very contained amount of time that we were able to respond to the community. We ultimately added hours, so we were up to 16 hours a day. And then it wasn't until 2009 that our one mobile crisis team went to 24/7. So we were able to respond any time of the day or evening. And this is critical because, as we know who work in this field, emergencies don't just happen 9 to 5. And in particular, when you are having a behavioral health emergency, or if you're in distress and your provider is not available, or you're not able to get in touch easily with someone who you trust or you have a rapport with, it's really critically important to have a resource who can respond, who can be available to support you in that situation. We've seen we've seen so many situations through the years where just having our therapists or clinicians available to touch base with someone, even over the phone. We do get over 40,000 phone calls per year at the crisis center that where we assist our residents in our community with supporting their needs. Even to have someone over the phone is very, very helpful. But to be able to expand to 24/7, to be able to send a team out overnight was critically important. But from 2009 until 2021, as Mr. Madalena was saying, we only had that one team available. And so in 2021, we received additional funding to be able to expand to 3 teams total with 2 regional teams based in Silver Spring and Germantown, up county and down county, so that we were able to reduce response time to residents in those areas and to be able to focus needs, specific to those communities. So this was a critical moment in crisis center history in terms of being able to accommodate that expansion and to receive the funding to be able to bring staff on board to make that expansion happen. Similarly, around the same time, we were able to enhance our mobile crisis teams and develop our mobile crisis teams in ways that were consistent with national best practice, which we've always been very proud of our program. We've had excellent programming here for many years, but particularly within the last 3 years, we've been looking at the tenets of what a best practice for a crisis model or crisis continuum for a county would look like. And that includes the addition of our peer support specialist positions. So in 2022, we initially hired 4, and now we've added 3 more peer support specialists who are individuals with lived experience or certification in regards to their personal experience with behavioral health conditions, who bring a different but much needed perspective to helping individuals who are in crisis. So we brought our peer support specialists on board. They co-respond with our clinicians on mobile crisis calls in the community. They're available to provide their expertise in connecting individuals with resources regarding treatment, or even just maintaining some level of engagement with individuals that are not quite ready or able to accept services at a particular time. They're following up and providing some ongoing engagement. And when the person reaches out, they'll be able to support them and provide them with the information or connection to services that they might need or benefit from. So we've greatly benefited from the addition of our peer support specialists. We also, as is relevant to the conversation today, we have a longstanding history. We previously had a longstanding history of co-responding. It was our standard operating procedure to respond with our law enforcement partners to mobile our behavioral health crises when we go on mobile crisis outreach calls in the community. We have since, of course, we want to reduce the overuse of law enforcement in these types of situations, as has been discussed in this forum and others. The police department have many priorities that they need to focus on. There are safety issues that they need to be present for. So we really do want to provide the level of support for our first responders and also our clients. There are situations where law enforcement really isn't. It really just isn't necessary in a situation, or maybe even is a little bit of anxiety provoking for an individual. So we're able to reduce the use through over the past couple of years. We developed protocols where we send out teams without the support of law enforcement. We're at about 35% of our response without law enforcement, but the 60 to 65% includes situations where we request law enforcement participation and also where law enforcement requests us. So we've always had a very strong collaboration with law enforcement when they're on a scene of a situation and they're seeing an individual in distress. Well, they'll reach out to our teams and request our team's support. So we expect those numbers to continue to actually neutralize over the next few years. Post-COVID, we saw, as the community has seen, a spike in mental health concerns and behavioral health distress for our residents and our community members. So we do expect that as we're able to stabilize some of the acute issues that we've experienced post-COVID, that will be, our numbers with the more acute response requiring law enforcement will continue to stabilize. So,
all right,
greatly greatly thankful for the support in being able to provide these services to our community.
Thank you, Beth. This is a reminder for the people on the call. We are the only jurisdiction in the state of Maryland that has a Department of Health and Human Services. In every other county in Maryland, many of those services are delivered solely by the state. So by having a comprehensive, well-staffed, well-resourced Department of Health and Human Services, we are able to respond to a variety of needs across our counties and to tailor our programs and support to the needs of our county without some of the restrictions that come with the use of state and federal funds. So, what we're able to do with the Crisis Center, the mobile crisis outreach teams, we're not the only jurisdiction doing it, but it is part of a comprehensive effort by our Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, together with the police department, with the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service. Again, most other counties in the state don't have a police department. They don't have a career fire department. So the range of services that we provide in order to deal with a range of incidents are unusual within the state of Maryland. So to me, it's always important for us to point that out, especially when we're just days from having released the recommended budget, to give some context for the level of funding and the level of programs that we provide in Montgomery County. So with that, Lorna, we'll turn it over to questions for Beth. And I know Suzanne Pollock has her hand up.
That's right, Suzanne Pollock, she's with Montgomery Community Media. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, thanks. Can you tell me what a team consists of, what the members are?
Absolutely. So our teams historically have consisted of a licensed clinician, which would for our mobile crisis outreach teams would be an independently licensed clinician at the clinical level, and either a behavioral health technician or a graduate level licensed clinician. As I mentioned, now our teams consist primarily of licensed clinicians and peer support specialists. So we send our teams in two, unless we have someone in training or there's an extraordinary circumstance, and it will be a licensed clinician and a peer support specialist.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Talia Barelas, Univision DC. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for taking my question. I just want to know, in regards to statistics, has there been an increase of residents suffering from crisis? Is that the reason why there is more of this team members needed?
I think that your question has two parts. I think there has been an increase in the number of crises we have seen that post-COVID, particularly with our children and adolescents. Statistically, and I think that we're still looking at what the stats or the data will reveal as we move further post-COVID. But statistically, where previously you would say that 20% of the population may suffer from a behavioral health condition, post-COVID they were looking at numbers that were closer to 40%. And again, this data is probably a little bit fluid as we continue to work to move through the years post-COVID. But there has been a significant increase. During the pandemic, people didn't have as much access to their providers. They were isolated. I mean, all the different factors that affect mental health and behavioral health were going on in terms of isolation and stress and economic stress and all those different factors. So, and particularly with children and adolescents, the developmental components that were being that were impacting their behavioral health conditions. So we did see a spike. But I think your question more generally, I think that we've always had this need in our community. We're one of the other components of the pandemic, I think, is we're talking about it more and there's more recognition. There's a little bit less stigma attached to some of these services. So, which is absolutely wonderful. We're being more protective of ourselves and each other. So I think that just the dialogue around these issues has brought the attention to it, and it's in my estimation, it's always been critically important.
Do you have any recent stats of the amount of calls that you have received, for example, I don't know, this year in comparison to last or the most recent stat?
So I know that our mobile crisis outreach teams responded to over 2,000 calls. I think it was closer to 2,100 calls in fiscal year 23. And we expect it to be, we expect there to be an increase for fiscal year 24. And with the expansion, with this funding and the additional expanded teams, we were hopeful to see a 50% increase in the coming years in terms of our availability to respond to calls.
And from this past calls, what has been the trend? What have you seen more of? What type of crisis are they experiencing?
I don't know that I can say trends. It's really across the board, because at the crisis center we respond to youngsters, individuals who are, maybe just starting to have some behavioral challenges early on in life, and then right through the entire age spectrum. So we are seeing more more concerns with depression and anxiety disorders in our senior population as well. So I don't know necessarily that I see trends. I can tell you that where the crisis center receives our most referrals from would be our schools, our shelter system, our law enforcement and first responder partners. Those are our primary referral sources besides family members and loved ones of individuals who are, have needs.
I want to ask one more, but I feel like I'm gonna be in your time. Okay. When it comes to Spanish speaking members for our Latino community, do you have a number of how many of these members do you count with?
We do. We have, you're going to put me on the spot because we have a large bilingual, Spanish English bilingual number on staff, but I don't want to miscount, but I believe it's a substantial number of our staff who are bilingual in English and Spanish. We have bilingual staff on all shifts. We obviously have available access to interpretation services as well, but it's one area in terms of our recruitment that we are very much cognizant of. We want to increase our language capabilities. In addition to Spanish, we have staff who speak a number of other languages that are needed in our community as well. But we're absolutely in our recruitment. It's a priority.
Thank you so much. If you do come up with that number, can you give it to Lorna so she can share it with me?
I absolutely will. I apologize for not having it off the top of my head.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Thalia. Connie Khan, Local 360. Good morning.
Yes, hi. So my question is, so obviously we've talked about the police department having staffing issues, but I've seen as well that with mental health professionals, both in the police department and in the crisis center, I've seen that there's been some recruitment and staffing shortages. What are you doing to mitigate these shortages, and what impact does that have on the community if there aren't as many mental health professionals readily available?
Excellent question, because of course this is a priority right now, and we're I would say kind of following in line with Captain Pratt. We're doing many of the same things in terms of our recruitment. We have some of the same concerns in terms of just generally in the mental health field, more individuals going into retirement than are coming into our profession. And of course, and of course we have some added challenges with niche work and doing and having our staff here at the crisis center are essential employees, so who work around the clock. So we have, so we do have these challenges, but we're doing very similar things. We're doing aggressive marketing, we're job fairs. We're expanding our internship program so that we can create sort of a internal opportunity for advancement within the crisis center. I will give a shout out to our intern program. I was an intern, a graduate level intern in 2000. So I've worked for the crisis center in a variety of capacities. So I'm just one example of how that can be successful in terms of maintaining, staffing a commitment to public service and to government work, crisis work, and connecting into the community. So we have an internship program. We also partner with our sister and brother programs to provide supplemental staffing evenings, overnights, and weekends, which has been very successful. We, the evening shifts are oftentimes where we have historically seen some shortages. So we've been able to very successfully partner with some of our sister and brother programs to have their clinicians provide some additional supplemental staffing at the crisis center. So we're absolutely, I would say that we have continued efforts that, that we will prioritize because this is a critical need. But we also have, we've been exploring every option in terms of trying to recruit and retain well-qualified employees. And we, this again has been a challenge, but is also a huge priority.
So if people are interested in working for the county, of course, one place to go is workformcg.com. So work for Montgomery County Government, workformcg.com. You can see all of the available job listings for the Department of Health and Human Services and for every position that we have available. And I am so happy to announce that after some time working between our Office of Human Resources and our Department of Technology and Enterprise Business Solutions, we will be launching a whole new recruitment page over the next several months. We have had a system that probably Beth has wrestled with, has been difficult for people to apply through. So we're thrilled to be launching a whole new system, which is in line with most of the other local governments as far as the platform, same company that does governmentjobs.com. So we'll be able to have, literally, you'll be able to apply for jobs via your phone quite simply once you've signed up with the initial portal. So we're very excited that that will make it far easier for people to apply for jobs, and we'll have larger candidate pools as a result. Because I know social workers in particular, as we've reported, a decade ago, we would have had 800 applications submitted on an annual basis. And I think over the last year, we were down to roughly 140. So part of it is huge demand. Part of it may be a drop in the number of people going into social work, but also part of it is we don't make it easy for people to apply for jobs with Montgomery County. And so we're working to address that. And within the next few months, we'll have a whole new application system up and running. And Beth will be thrilled because I'm sure people will flood her office with job applications.
I am thrilled just to hear it. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that very much.
Yeah, and do you have the number of current vacancies that you have, or is that a number you could get for me?
That's a number I can get for you because it's fluid. The fortunate one of the fortunate components for the Crisis Center is that we have a very aggressive hiring committee and hiring manager, and so I will confirm with her before I give you the official number, because every day they're interviewing, and putting selection memos in. So so let me get you the exact number and just to confirm.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And just one more question. As Rich was kind of explaining, like why there's this shortage of mental health professionals right now, especially Montgomery County. Can you go a little bit more into that?
Well, I think generally speaking, there's a national shortage. This is a national trend, unfortunately, that at the time where the need for mental health is growing and there's more acknowledgement of the need for mental health services, there's also a decrease in the number of individuals going into licensed mental health fields. So I think that's a national trend. And my understanding, unfortunately, is that's a trend that's expected to continue. But in terms of our particular area, I think that part of the challenge that we're seeing is that there's an incredible amount of competition for jobs right now. There are vacancies, there are wide vacancies and programs throughout the regional area. So part of what our recruitment efforts need to focus on, just like Captain Pratt was saying, is emphasizing how attractive we are as an employer. And part of that is our salary, is our compensation and benefits package. But there are any number of intangibles that we provide in terms of career development that I think really that we can use for our benefit in terms of recruitment towards county service. So we look, I mean, it's a challenge, but it's one that we are trying to meet because we strongly believe in the services we provide. And I sorry, Mr. Madalino, I would be remiss if I didn't give recognition to the amazing staff and employees we do have at the Crisis Center. It's just, we have staff some of whom have been here for decades, and others who bring new skills and experience. And we are very fortunate to have such dedicated staff working for our community.
Yes, we are. And you never have to apologize for saying that, Beth. And one other program that to share with everyone that we do kind of along these lines is the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services operates a Welcome Back Center. The whole concept is it is a program to welcome back people to the careers that they had if they are foreign trained and they are needing to get now American or Maryland credentials. So we work every year with people who may have immigrated with a nursing degree, a PhD, an equivalent of an MSW, a Master's in Social Work, that they have from a foreign institution. They need to get those credentials. They need to improve English language skills. We have a program that helps people year in and year out get back into their career fields because they've got this talent, they've got this drive. We don't want them underemployed in a low-skilled position when in fact we desperately need those skills within our community, and to have their language skills to broaden the number of people that we can serve in a community that is as linguistically diverse as Montgomery County. So we are working hard to solve problems and our needs in a variety of different ways.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Corny. Members of the media, any more questions for Ms. Tabashnik and or Mr. Madalino? Any questions?
All right, thanks, Lorna. I'll jump right in. A little bit of a health briefing. Most respiratory illnesses in the county, including COVID-19, are on the downward trend. Great news. It's still flu season. There are still people out there with the flu. You can still get a flu shot, but just a reminder to be careful, but still trend lines are going in the right direction. Unfortunately, school-age children and teens are being the most impacted by respiratory illnesses in our community. So we ask that people think about their kids, keep them home or yourself home if you're feeling sick. Remember to practice good hygiene through the flu season. Many of the things that we got used to during COVID, washing hands, for example. And again, you know, we're in that wonderful time in the Mid-Atlantic where we're transitioning from flu season to allergy season. Probably many of us are suffering with the pollen and a variety of things that are blooming and blooming early. So make sure you cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze so that you don't spread germs. So that's our little health update for the week. And now happy to go to questions from the media.
Any more questions, members of the media? No questions? Going
Wow,
once.
we answered every question today, Lorna. This was so informative and relatively quick. So I want to remind everyone to enjoy the cherry blossoms. They're out and about throughout our region, many great places in Montgomery County to review, and to remind people that next week is spring break for the Montgomery County Public Schools. So be careful as you're out and about on the roads, and there'll be no school buses, no one walking to school, but a lot of kids out and about. So please be safe that way.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Bye-bye.